the proposals on the ballot. She adds recent bills passed by lawmakers have taken away those rights.
They took so many restrictions on, and they are so layered and complex that the ability to just get a petition out in the field and let people sign it is nearly impossible.
In a written statement, Kester claims the petition system is filled with fraud and bad actors. According to the Heritage Foundation, there have been only 5 criminal convictions related to election fraud in Arkansas over the last 20 years. The lawsuit challenges restrictions including the ban on paying canvassers per signature and the requirement that canvassers are residents of the state. League of Women Voters attorney David Couch says lawmakers have been adding restrictions since 2013.
You have to show a photo ID. Petition every signature petition concerning the Secretary of State is matched with voter registration forms. You have to read the entire ballot to the person who makes out the petition. All are not a problem.
The complaint also notes that voters rejected proposed election restrictions in 2020 and 2022. Foster says the over 300 volunteers who work for the league all played a role in getting the lawsuit filed.
The entire lawsuit was driven by volunteers who participated in ballot finishes, difficult work in the actual state year, as well as different organizations, and I think it's challenging when they're putting laws in place that threaten people with criminal action if they make a very simple mistake.
I'm Frida Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
Are you looking to hire an IT specialist or a logistics expert, a medical technician, or a security professional? Well, there are some very qualified candidates out there. America's wounded warriors. These men and women returning from battle are eager to get back to life at home and a good job. Some have wounds you can see, and some have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. For these accomplished professionals, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps wounded warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These warriors have world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork. And to ensure proper placement for each individual, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right candidate for the job. When your company is looking to hire talented, highly trained employees, contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Down. Love is going to take control.
When I'm with you, if the peace for me, what I need. When I'm with you.
Cut this on. Cut this on. Cut it on. Community Voices live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people, bringing it in with you by Toney Orr. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute as we go through our story, go through our show on this morning. I want to say thank you so much for stopping right here so that you can listen for the next hour to what we have to say. We know for a fact that if it were not for you, if it were not for your presence, your encouragement, the way you show up, the way you push back, the way you challenge, the way you ask, all of the things that you do to engage with us right here, you make it possible for us to be alive on the air. One of only 100,000 watts of community-free radio in the country. And now we can stream globally. So people are watching and listening from all over the country. And we thank you so much. We are grateful that you are here. I want to remind you that Community Voices is a show that centers Blackness in the context of the human story. So everyone is invited to participate in the conversation. The phone lines are already open at 501-433-0088, 501-433-0088. And the opinions that are expressed are ours. They do not belong to the show nor to the Broadcasting Foundation. I want to make sure that you are aware of that as well. But before I keep going, let me make sure you have an opportunity to hear from your co-host who is live in the studio today. Woo, woo. It's the pastor, Toney Orr. I had to lean away from the mic.
I just can't get you to stop that.
I didn't do it last week.
Oh, I guess that's your trademark now.
I don't know.
Just want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. Just want to remind our listening audience that we are in our second pledge drive of the year. We do 4 every year, one every quarter, every 3 months. Pledge drive is a very significant part of what we do here at KABF 88.3 FM. We are a non-profit community radio, and so that means that basically we depend on donations, pledges, and a few grants that we get every year. You can give 3 ways. You can go to www.kabf.org and give your pledge. And first, I just want to thank all the listeners who have continuously, over the 40 plus years that we've been on air, we have continuously supported KABF. We are so grateful and thankful for your diligence in making sure that the voice of the people is continuously heard. And while you're at this website to donate, become a sustaining monthly member of KABF. Your monthly contribution, no matter how big or small, goes to the sustainability of KABF. You can call one of your favorite DJs or one of your favorite shows or hosts at 501-433-0088 and give you a pledge that way. Or you can call our program director, Charles Ray, at 501-372-6119 and give you a pledge of donation. Or you can do what so many other people do. You can send us a check of money to 2101 South Main Street here in Little Rock, Arkansas, 75206, and give or a pledge or a donation. Or you can just stop by that same address, 2101 South Main Street, and you can give your pledge or donation back, in person. And over during the last pledge drive, so many people came to the station to give their donation. Some people were driving through town, they heard us on the radio, and they came by not only to give donations, but to get CDs, to get merchandise, and so we're very thankful for that. Also, during this time, we had a special promotion where you get 20 60-second spots. 20 60-second spots. That's 20 minutes of airtime for $150. And I would challenge anybody to go to any radio station here in Little Rock or any television station and see, can you get 20 minutes of airtime for $150? But if you have a business, or you're an entrepreneur, or you have some creative talent, or you just want to express some things that you feel and you want to have your voice heard, here's a perfect way and a perfect opportunity for you to get that done. So remember, 20 60-second spots for $150.
Okay, thank you, Toney. I do want to remind you that the phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. Phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. You are listening to Community Voices right here, hosted by the Reverend Doctor, but you can call me Denise. And I'm excited to have this conversation with you. I had a very, very busy weekend, and that's not usually the case. Usually I'm at home until Sunday. From Thursday to Sunday, I'm usually at home. But this particular weekend, on Thursday, I went to karaoke at the 610 bar on Center Street. It's located at 610 Center Street. Had a great time singing my two favorite songs. One of them is by Deborah Cox, How Did You Get Here? The other one is by Erykah Badu, Tyrone. And I was walking around, working the room. It was time for them to say, you better call Tyrone. And you say, call him. I'm putting the mic in people's face so they can call him, sing along with me. It was really, really a nice time. So those of you who are interested in karaoke, it happens every Thursday night at 610 Center Street at the club, at the bar. It's a bar called 610. So you are absolutely invited. And there is no cover charge. You can come in and it is free. And then on Friday, I decided to watch the movie G20 that stars Viola Davis. I had been hearing a lot about it, and I decided to watch it. So I did that on Friday. And then on Saturday, I went to see For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. It's based on a work by Natasaki Shange. It's based on her work, and it was held right here at the Quapaw Quarter United Methodist Church. They have now converted that bottom space into the Actors Theater, and they've got a whole list of shows that are happening. They've got a whole list of coming up throughout the rest of the year. You can look them up online. You can feel free. They said that they're looking for people to act, looking for people to work behind the scenes, looking for people to work the concession stands, like concessions, all of that. You can participate in whatever you see, in whatever way you see fit. So I did go to see that on Saturday night with Dr. Karamanil. We had a great time. And then on Sunday, my godson was on probate. He came out as a Kappa, Kappa Alpha Psi. My brothers are both Kappas, and now my godson is too. So I went over to Oxford, Mississippi, and celebrated that with him. Had a great time. Put on my letters. We were taking pictures, throwing up our signs. It was really, really nice. And then on yesterday, I decided to go see the movie Sinners. I've been hearing a lot about that, and so I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity. Ryan Coogler, who is continuing to mesmerize us with his artistry, the Black man, and I was excited about that. So all of these experiences that I had over the weekend have brought me to this space of having this conversation with you today that is rooted in the EJI tidbit for today, and also in the song With You by Toney Terry. Hotep, I see you. Hotep on the line. I see you. Again, the phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. So all of those experiences that happened to me over the weekend brought me to this space where I wanted to start the conversation with Toney Terry singing about With You. Now, Toney Terry absolutely is singing about, is rooting this song, sourcing this song in a relationship with a woman. And if you watch the video that was as a matter of fact, the video almost didn't happen because the label Epic that Toney Terry was signed under did not think that the song With You would be a hit. So they were not supportive of it at all. And so they were unwilling to provide any funds to create the video. And when Anita Baker, y'all know Anita Baker rapture, caught up in the rapture of love. And when Anita Baker heard that the label was not going to support a video, she fronted Toney Terry $50,000 to create the video. And then she brought in Blair Underwood. Y'all know Blair Underwood, Black man, actor, handsome. Oh my goodness. Tall, dark, drink of water. Anyway, okay, don't get me caught up. Okay, he actually shows, and he's in the cameo. He's the one that she brought on to direct the film. And so if you see the video, it's clear that Toney Terry is singing this song to this woman that he sees across, that he's performing on stage and she's watching him in the audience. And they keep flashing back and forth because he's talking about how great it is to be with her. Like just imagining walking down the street with you, the love that we share, the love that exists between us, the chemistry that happens when we are side by side or in front of each other or just near each other, it's too great for anybody to deny. And so in the song he says, I wonder why people do stop. They stop and stare and smile at us because they can recognize recognize the love that we share, and they think it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and it's something that we all should be able to experience. So this song is absolutely about a romantic relationship, and Toney Terry is talking to her, and it sounds like he's kind of trying to woo it. It looks like he really wants her to come up on stage, but she ain't having it. But anyway, it's a really great song, and it sounds, it makes you feel good on the inside. It gives you all little bubbles in your stomach and your butterflies when you're watching, and it's really great. But I want to lift those words up out of the context of a romantic relationship and apply them to how I feel about Black folks. And when I say Black folks, I'm talking about the entire African diaspora. So us diasporians, all of us who are members of that community. When I am with you, when we are together, gathered in a space, it is amazing to me. I'm overwhelmed with love for us. Even when there's something that breaks out and somebody get up a little upset, even when somebody storm out the door, even when those things happen, I'm so glad to be in the space because I'm so excited about the feeling that I get when we are together. I feel like I'm at home. I feel like I'm safe. I feel like I can relax. I feel like I can breathe. I feel like I'm going to be surprised at any moment. I feel like we're going to learn something. I feel like somebody's going to tell us a story and teach us something. I feel like we're going to eat good. I feel like we're going to drink a little bit. I feel like we might smoke a little bit. Anything might happen in this space. It's a space that you feel that I feel like I have to have. I feel like I cannot exist without these spaces that are about us coming together and loving on each other in whatever way we see fit. And when Toney Terry is talking in his song, he talks about the love that they share, how it reflects on everyone in the world. And I feel like that about Black love. There's no aspect in our world that can escape a touch from Blackness. Everything you see, everything you feel, every trend you think you've created, everything you think you've invented, everything you think that you have curated has been touched by Blackness. And so when we talk about Black love being something that reflects, our love reflects on everyone and on everything in the world, I feel like Toney Terry is bringing us into this space, but we got to begin to think more about how we can be unified, how we can be united, how we can continue to create these spaces of Blackness where we experience Black love, and then in those spaces we get the strength to reflect everything that we need onto the world. I really was moved by his words as it relates to Blackness, and so I wanted to share those words with you today as we talk about this a little more. And I want to root them in the EJI tidbit as well. So on April 27th in 1899, April 27th, 1899, there was a Black community leader named Mitchell Daniel who was lynched in Georgia for talking too much. And it's a quote because it's a quote, talking too much. That's what the white people wrote in the paper. They have a you can see the photograph of the newspaper article. He was talking too much about the recent lynching of another Black man, Sam Hose. So Sam Hose is the person who actually got lynched 150 miles away from where Mitchell Daniel was living. But he heard about it. And because he's a community leader, because he is Black, because he cares, because he understands the importance of standing up for Black bodies and fighting against white inhumanity, because of all of that, he was just talking about it because he's trying to figure out, how are we going to organize around this? How are we going to push back against this? How are we going to change this? How are we going to live better? How are we going to make sure that we are not afraid, that we are unapologetic about the need for white inhumanity to get off of us, right? So that we can be and exist as we are created to be and exist. And so he's talking about it. And because they hear him talking about it, they lynch him. And they lynch him so they can silence him. They want to silence him because the system of white inhumanity is afraid of any organized movement of Black people that causes us to raise up and stand firm and fight the powers that be. The system of white inhumanity is afraid of that, so much so that they come up with all kinds of schemes and laws and behaviors to make sure that they keep us from moving. They know if you mess around and loosen us, if you mess around and take your knee off our neck, if you mess around and take the noose from around our neck, you are going to see us in full force, and they don't want that to happen. So they lynched Mitchell Daniel just for talking about the fact that what white inhumanity does to us is wrong. And Mr. Hose is already, Sam Hose already gets lynched. That's who he's talking about. Sam Hose gets lynched because the white man owes him money. Sam Hose wants his money. The white man don't want to pay him. And so the white man lies on him and says, oh, Mr. Hose was trying to assault and sexually assault my wife. And of course, you know, those are all dog whistles. Anytime you say a black man wants something from a white woman, if a black man whistled at a white woman, if he looked at her too hard, if he's brushed up against the if he was walking on the same side of the street, anything that a black man did as it related to a white woman, it was cause for them for lynching. And so the lynchers, the man who killed, who called for the lynching of Sam Hose, he knew that. And so he accused Sam Hose of wanting to be with his wife, and the mob came forth and lynched him. So he's the one who actually got lynched, that caused Mitchell Daniel to also get lynched, because Mitchell Daniel was talking about it. And all of this is happening because they simply want to silence our voices. That's what the system of white inhumanity is all about, silencing our voices. And we are seeing it play out even now when we talk about the bans on books, when we talk about the bans against DEI, when we talk about all of what we're talking about, what we see right now is because they're trying their best to silence us. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the importance of recognizing that we shall not be silenced. And I want to offer to us one way that we can make sure that we are not silenced. But first, let me see if Toney has something to say.
Yeah, excuse me. There's a couple of sayings, as they say, that that rings true. One is what has been will be again. History repeats itself, or there's nothing new. And when you think about what happened to Sam Hose and Mitchell Daniels, when you think about the silence that's going on now, when you think about talking to, rising up and talking too much, when you look at all these laws that they are proposing, and all the ways that we think is targeting another group of people, but it's actually targeting us also. When you think about that, they want to cut down. So many states have came up with laws about protesting, laws about speaking out. When you read about students who are being just snatched up off the street and deported or sent somewhere else, even though they're American citizens, I want you to understand. That's also targeted at us. Just like in the 60s, anytime a civil rights leader or a community leader spoke up, they were lynched, they were beaten, they were assassinated, they were murdered. Well, what do you think is going to happen now when you start to speak up about injustice, when you start to speak up about the different policies? You can be targeted. You can be walking down the street or driving your car, get snatched up, end up somewhere else in another country, and even though you can say, well, I'm an American citizen and I should never have been, deported, or I never should have been sent to this place, and they can say, well, okay, we made a mistake, or, oh, okay, but we're not going to bring you back, or label you. And remember, so many of these civil rights leaders and Mitchell Daniels, who was speaking up, they were considered a threat to the structure of white inhumanity and white power in this country. And anytime you are labeled a threat, and we are, as Black people, are labeled a threat so many times, they're going to figure out a way, how do we get this threat? Because if we get rid of the threat, then everybody else will fall in line.
Yeah, and so we are absolutely considered a threat. And Toney, we've talked about this before, because one day you were at Target and you were coming out. This was before. I know you haven't been to Target recently. We are participating in the economic withdrawal, but this was before that. And you were just walking down the street and you saw this white man usher his white woman to the other side of the street because he was afraid of what you might possibly do just because you were walking down the parking lot trying to get to your car with a bag in your hand. And so the mere fact that our presence, we just show up, they scared. We stand beside them and they scared. We come down the the walkway I love doing this, and I think I've said this to you before. I love going to the airport with my bald head and my Black Lives Matter t-shirt on with my Asada Shakur quote on the back, and I'm just walking. It feels like Harriet Tubman Moses, not Moses in the Bible, but Harriet Tubman Moses walking through, because it's like I'm parting the Red Sea, like everybody getting out of my way, because here comes this Black woman who looks militant because she got a bald head and she dares to say Black Lives Matter. So just those kinds of symbolisms that we do, those kinds of symbols that we engage, that makes the white people scared. The system of whiteness, the system of white inhumanity just cannot, it's just amazing. It fascinates me, just our presence. And so to think about how much power that is we hold just in being who we are. That is what I feel like we have to grab hold to, the power of being Black. And if we can harness that power, and if we can channel it in a way that allows us to be unapologetic, we can change things faster, because we're changing things now, but we can change things faster so that our children will not inherit the world that we are living in right now. I talked to my mama's best friend yesterday as I was walking, and she said to me, she said, you know, I'm 83 years old and I'm tired. There's not much I can do. There's not much more I can do. And I feel bad for you, because you got some more time. How old are you? I told her I'll be 53 Friday. She said, you got some time. And I'm worried. I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for y'all, but how the world in which you have to live in. And I've been thinking about that. And I'm thinking to myself, look, what about the children that's coming behind me? Like, we've got to do something. And so I want to talk about on today, because I'm going to talk about these movies and these shows, these plays, as we go on week to week. But today I want to focus on G20. I want to focus on the movie G20. And you don't have to watch it to
It's a good movie.
to be able to understand. It is a good movie. It's on Prime Video if you have it. But Viola Davis stars as the President of the United States. Her name is Danielle, and her nickname is Danny. And before she became President of the United States, she had to run, of course, and she had to have a campaign. She was a candidate. And there was another woman, a white woman. Viola Davis is a woman who is Black. This woman is a woman who is white. Her name is Joanna. These are the characters' names in the movie. Joanna was running against against Danielle for the office of President of the United States of America. The people during the campaign season, Joanna considered herself, and they were opponents. I don't want to call them enemies, but they were opponents, because they're both vying for the same position as President of the United States of America. And during the campaign season, Joanna launches this targeted attack. You know how they do these commercials, this bad rhetoric that they know is a lie. Like, she came for Danielle during the while they were on the campaign trail. And during that time, when they were on the campaign trail, Danielle, Viola Davis's her character just considered it, par for the course. Like, that's what happens when you are in running for office. People, they do what they need to do to win. But once you win, it ought to be okay. But Joanna, during the campaign trail, decided that not only am I going to be Danielle's opponent, she's actually my enemy now. Like, I want to fight her. That's how bad I want this position. I'm going to fight her for it. So she's no longer looking at this as a friendly rivalry just during the campaign season. She is mad about it. And she doesn't tell Danielle, Viola Davis, how mad she is. She doesn't tell her. So Viola Davis does not know how she really feels. And Viola Davis decides, even though this woman, Joanna, was her opponent for the office of president, even though she started fighting her on the trail, even though she lied on her, even though she attacked her on the trail, Danielle decided that she was going to make Joanna a part of her cabinet. So the Black woman who's being targeted by the white woman decides that it's okay for her to now make this white woman a part of her inner circle as she leads the country of the United States of America. So she has brought this woman in invited her in, allowed her in to be part of her team. So together they are working side by side. And at some point, Joanna says something to the effect of, yeah, we became friends again. And Viola Davis's character, Danny, says, oh, no. We've always been friends. We've never not been friends. And I'm looking at the character, I'm looking at the TV like the woman that told you she wasn't your friend, but you don't even accept it. You don't even listen to what she's saying. She's telling you who you are. You are not paying attention. You are still holding her close. And y'all probably can already see where this is going. By the end of the movie, we realize that Joanna is the one who set Viola Davis up to die. And a part of me, at the end of the story, Viola Davis, when she finally figures it out, she looks at Joanna and she says, I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out. And I sat up in the bed and I yelled at the screen, I don't know why either. And so I started to wonder about it. Why do we as Black folks continuously feel the wrath of white inhumanity that considers us their enemy? They continue to attack us at every turn, from the top of our head to the soles of our feet. They come for us. They come for our bodies. They come for our minds. They come for our souls. They come for our spirits. They come for our money. They come for our children. They come for our health care. They come for our housing. They come for our every aspect of our lives are under attack by the system of white inhumanity. And yet we still say, but you know what? I could be friends with this one. Let me bring them. And you know what? I don't think I would have even been mad if she said, let me invite her over to my house for dinner and even let her eat off of my real silverware. I might not even been mad, but you brought her into your livelihood. You brought her into your leadership. You brought her into the most important office of your life, the President of the United States, and you decided to share this huge responsibility with someone who has already shown herself to you. And that's what we continue to do for as Black folks. And I was livid. Looked like you want to say something.
Yeah, I think one of the things that happens to a lot of Black people is deep down inside, I think Black people are, to a large extent, not all, but most Black people are, they are this loving people, this humanitarian people, this peaceful people. And I think a lot of times you find a lot of Black people who don't want to group or don't want to say the whole white race is bad, that the whole white race is evil, that the whole white race is this. And I think what happens is that a lot of times Black people try to find that balance. And it's only when, that their relationship with this white person or this white man, this white woman, that they think or they believe that we can live in a peaceful way until it's shown that, oh, this person, I can't trust this person, or this white person I can't trust. But I think a lot of Black people feel so conflicted because I can't say everybody is this. I can't say the whole white race is this, but, and I think, I think that becomes a conflict with a lot of Black people. And I think one of the things that has to happen is that you just have to be aware, because I have this saying that people are the wild card. And so you have to give people that opportunity to be the wild card. You have to give them that space that I don't care who you are, that at some point in time, I have to always be aware that you may do something that that's going to be detrimental to me. And I have to know that this may happen. I have to be aware that this may happen. And I have to at least be on guard for it to happen.
I'm glad you said that, because every time I hear myself say white people, I try to correct myself and I say the system of whiteness or the system of white inhumanity, because what the phrase I'm known for saying is I don't come for people, I come for the system. I'm not coming for you as an individual, I'm coming for the system. The fact fact of the matter is, though, that the system of whiteness and the system of white inhumanity has decided and declared that people who are white are better than, are superior over other folks. You have declared that everybody else in the world is inferior, and especially Black folks, you are the most inferior of all. And so because the system of whiteness was designed that way on purpose, and because it is still operating in our midst right now, because the system of white inhumanity is operating in full swing in our midst right now, and it has declared that white people are the ones who are superior, every white person by default is a part of the system, and that system is coming for you as a Black person. So that means every white person is one that you need to pay attention to and look at closely. You cannot just say, oh, because we are friends, they probably won't do that. They are still affected by the system, and as long as they are affected by the system, when the rubber meets the road, they're not going to choose you. Bottomline.com. Let me see what Deidre is saying real quick before you say something. Deidre says, white people are not going to give up their privilege peacefully. White people are not, that's in capital letters, going to give up their privilege peacefully.
And you mentioned something, Denise, and I think you are so on point with this, because this is where I think what I said earlier, this is what caused the conflict, or this will cause the problem with a lot of Black people. When they look at the system, they'll talk about the system, but they look at the system in this narrow view, that the system encompasses this, and that's where it stops at. Instead of opening and broadening it out, that the system encompasses everything. Everything is a part of that system. And once you open up to recognize that, then yes, you can look in and say, the system that has been created is a system that's created against me being a Black person, against me being LGBT, against me being a brown, against me. That whole system is against me. But I think sometimes we look at it and say, oh, the housing market is against me, or the financial is against me. And if you look at it in those terms, then you say, okay, the financial market may be against me, but I can get criminal justice. That's not against me. Or I can be successful, and that's not against me. Oh, I can have a business and thrive, and that's not against me. And not realizing that, yeah, you got a business, but if the system feels like you are becoming more than what the system wants you to become, then I can come after your business. I can come after your, as you talked about valid, I can come after your livelihood. I can come after your children. I can come after your health. I can come out after everything. And we have to look at the system for the totality that it represents.
Yeah, Deidre added something to her statement. She said, okay, the statement at first was, what white people are not going to give up their privilege peacefully. And then she adds, nor can they. Nor can they. And I think that nor can they is important because, Toney, we disagree on this a lot about the hope that we have. As Black folks, we keep hoping that white folks will see us for who we are. We keep hoping that this world will change as it relates to us. We keep hoping that the Christians will come to white Christians will come to realize that when Jesus said, love everybody, that meant. We keep hoping and hoping and hoping. And we're placing so much hope in the change that we want white people to experience that we don't take into account the fact that because of the system that is in place, it is not possible for them to change until we dismantle the system. So we're hoping in something that cannot happen until the work is done. And we cannot do that work, Black folks, if we continue to keep the white person that is seeing us as enemy close. We keep keeping them so close to us. Now listen to me. Please listen to me. I got white friends. I go over to people's houses who are white. We eat, we laugh, we kiki, we caca, we do all of those things. We sit down, we'll have a drink, we do all of those things. I am not saying don't be in relationship with a person that is white. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is pay attention to the world. And what I'm saying is when you have to build, when you're looking for for people you're going to build with, when you're looking for the team that you're going to put together, when you're looking for the folks that you're going to mobilize, you got to be careful who you put in that circle. And so many of us just think because we got a friend that's a white person that we can depend on them. And that's by design too. Individualism is something that this world has taught us and conditioned us to believe is real. That's why so many white people cannot see themselves as part of the system, because when they look at injustice, they see it in terms of individualism. They'll say, oh no, it's just a few bad apples on the police, in the police department that's causing this injustice. Oh no, it was those banks, only those banks from a long time ago that were defrauding its clients. No. It's just a few doctors that don't understand and don't take the time to be culturally competent in their healthcare. Oh, it's only a few. And so then when they think about themselves, they turn that same mirror of individualism against themselves, and they say, oh no, I'm not racist. Oh no, I'm not prejudiced, because the world wants you to think of yourself as an individual, but we are not. We are a collective. We are the collective of humanity, and we are always working in concert with each other. We cannot separate ourselves from each other. That's why we have to live into the spirit of the Sawubona that says we are one. And so we cannot rely on individualism. And so that's what you are doing also as Black folks. You're turning the white person into an individual and saying, oh, they'll never do this to me because this individual is all right. Forgetting that this individual is part of a bigger system.
I think my thing, I'm going back to the movie 220, and I just thought about this in watching the movie, and this shows the strength, the resolve, the creativity that's within the whole Black diaspora, within Black people. So when Viola Davis, her character, when she's at this summit and she has an idea that's going to help so many people, people in Africa, people around the world. She has this idea. When she first walks in, everybody was against her. The British Prime Minister, who was white, that was like basically like, forget you. You won't get this done. The Italian woman who was in charge of the International Monetary Fund, they said she was the second most powerful woman in the world outside of Viola Davis. But when everything broke loose, everything started happening, there was still this contention about following Viola Davis. She was telling them, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. I know what we need to do. But there was so much pushback. But it came a moment where they realized, you know what? We're behind you, because now we see. And that's the problem sometimes, is that you have to go through so much. As Black people, we have to go through so much for a lot of time for others to see you're the one that we need to. You have the answers that we seek. And when you start to look at what's going on in this country, and I agree with you, Denise, is that hope without action is just a dream. It's just a statement. If you want to hope, you have to do something to help facilitate that hope. You can pray all you want to, you can go to church all you want to, you can do all this other stuff and hope that one day that all of a sudden the system is just going to disappear. No, part of the work you have to do is to dismantle the system, but you have to do it. And you still have to be able to go and show your strength. Now, yes, the system is going to try to keep you from your strength, try to keep you from showing who you are, but that's what we have to move past, and we can't worry about what others may think. And another thing that I've been agreeing with you on some things this morning, but another thing I do have to agree with you have to be selective in who you put in your inner circle, because and especially when it comes to other ethnic groups, because they will look at you and say, I got your back. But at the end of the day, they don't.
Well, yeah, so when you talk about the British Prime Minister who was white, who he didn't basically tell her, he told her that that her plan was going to fail. He flat out told her it was going to fail. He was going to make sure that it failed. And later on, he comes around. But one of the reasons that he comes around is because he hears more of her story. He learns more about her.
Yes.
Through that story, he's able to see her as a human. Not even the president, he sees her as human. And in that moment, they are bound together by their humanity, because he knows another story about a white man that's similar to her story about a black woman, and he sees that the only difference between them is the difference that this world creates between them, which is a artificial difference about race. And so then he's able to see her. But like you said, Toney, it should not take folks all of that to decide that I'm human. I should just be human when you look at me. Deidre says, hope and fantasy are synonyms. Are synonymous. Hope and fantasy are synonymous. And so another thing, though, when you talked about Viola Davis and they didn't want to follow her, they didn't want to follow her lead. They didn't want to follow her lead because she was A, black. They didn't want to follow her lead because she was B, a woman. Let's just be clear about that. Right. We just saw that play out in this world. Even black men, even black women could not bring themselves to vote for a black woman as a leader of the world. But this black woman on this movie shows you what black women are doing every day. We are carrying you every single day. When the rubber meets the road, when your backs are against the wall, you look for the black woman. It happened in Georgia when they were going to the election. It was black women that saved them that first time. And we continue to do that over and over again. And yet you will not put your faith and trust in us, but you'll turn around and put it in your faith and trust in a white person that has shown themselves to you to not be your friend. And so it just boggles my mind. But Viola Davis did say this. Before she and the prime minister had that moment of solidarity, because that before that, he was bucking against following her. Oh, we supposed to follow you just because la, la, la. And she said, you ain't got to follow. You can stay right here. And that is the piece that I think we are also missing as black folks. We don't want to leave anybody. We want to live in this kumbaya. We want to live in the agape love that they teach us in Christianity, that we're supposed to love everybody. We're supposed to be willing to lay our lives down like Christ. He laid his life down for our friends, and we're supposed to be the same way. No, you're not. You are not Jesus, and you are not living in Jesus' world. It's a whole new ball game out here, and you have to be willing to say, it's okay if you don't want to go. You can stay right here. I said that about Harriet Tubman. I feel like Moses when I'm walking through the airport. And because she was Moses coming to set her people free, she went to her husband and she wanted to set him free. She she put her life on the line to go back to get her husband. He had married somebody else. It didn't even bother her. She would have freed the wife, his new wife too. I'm coming to get back to get both of y'all. And they said, we don't want to go. She said, okay, and left her husband and his new woman and did not blink. She looked around and said, who want to go? Anybody that want to go, I'll take you. Come go with me. And that's what we have to be willing to do, to leave somebody on the battlefield, even if we have to shoot them. And he's like, oh no, we're not supposed to be violent. We're supposed to turn the other cheek. Religion is killing us, black folks. And we've got to be willing to raise up and say, I know who I am. I know who I'm created to be. I'm going to move us forward, whether you come or not, and I'm not going to let you stop me. That's what Viola Davis did.
Yeah, and you have to get to that point. You have to get to that point because sometimes you have to lay aside every weight that holds you back. And part of that is that if someone doesn't want to follow you, or someone doesn't want to do it, or someone doesn't want to follow you, or someone doesn't want to change, you will spend more time fighting their reluctancy to try to get that one person. You're fighting against somebody's will that doesn't want to do. And what happens, you lose focus of where you're supposed to go. And so what happens, you have to be able to say, like Viola Davis said, fine, you ain't got the code. But when all of a sudden they break in here, they got a gun to your head. We already seen they're not hesitant about killing anybody, including you. So when they break in, don't call me to come back to try to save you, because I need to save the people who want to go, who want freedom, who want liberation.
Yeah, and there's another part of the movie that supports this. There is this woman who she's in the cadre with Viola Davis. It's just a few of them that are working to save everybody. It's just a few of them, and it's time for them to go. It's time for them to leave Viola Davis. Viola Davis says, "I'm gonna stay here. Y'all go on. Y'all go to freedom. I done brought you this far. Y'all just go on." Oh, wait a minute. Here's a message from Deidre. She says, President Toney Orr of Burkina Faso said that all Black people of the United States have to do to become a citizen is get there. How many folk do you think will go? President Toney of Burkina Faso. That's a place. That's a place. Said that all Black people of the United States all you have to do to become a citizen is get there. You ain't got to go through no visas. You ain't got to go through all the stuff that we have to do here. You got to be all this, you got to learn all the stuff to become a citizen here. He said, all you got to do is get there. And if you get there, you'll become a citizen. And her question to you is, how many of you are willing to go? How many of you are willing to go? How many of you are willing to leave the injustice because you're hoping for justice, and justice that you're hoping for can be found somewhere else, and you'd rather stay here? So that's the question.
I just want to make sure. What she's saying is that if you leave the U.S. and go to this country, you become a citizen.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Okay.
She said that's all you got to do is just get there. You don't have to do anything else. Just get there. Mm-hmm. But so Viola Davis gets them to the point where she says that she can let them go and they can be free. She gets them to the point. But one of the women said, "Oh no, I cannot go. I got to go back for my husband." And Viola Davis said, "Okay, I understand that. I have no problem." She didn't even argue with it. She didn't say anything. When the wife got back to her husband, he was dead. So she's trying her best to go back to a place that she's being freed from, but she can't get free because she's worried about what's happening over here because she loves him and she wants to go back to him. She goes back to him and finds out that he's dead. So she's risking her freedom only to come back to nothing. And so I said, wait a minute. She could have been free. She could have been gone. But we have all of these ties. We got ties to people. We got ties to things. We tied to house. Some of us can't get free because we tied to our house. I don't want to leave my house. Some of us can't get free because we tied to our car. Some of us can't get free because we tied to our job. Some of us can't get free because we tied to our husband. Some of us can't get free because we tied to our lover. We can't get free because we're so busy holding on to these attachments. And sometimes the person on the other side of that attachment is of no use to you anymore. And you got to be able to figure that out. You keep talking about love. Love yourself first. How about that? Can we do that? And Viola Davis offers not only this opportunity to see her as a leader, she also shows you what it means to love somebody so much that you say, I want you to get free no matter what happens to me. Because when her husband is with her, ask me answer. Her husband's with her, he's trying to make sure that the children are okay because she took her whole family. He's trying to make sure the children are okay. At some point, the children stop him and say, Dad, but what about Mom? And he looked at them. And he looked them in the eye. He said, me and your mama already talked about this. We've already made it clear how this is going to go down. Before she was even elected, she said to me, if anything happens to me, if anybody comes for my life, if I am under a threat, if we are under a threat, here's what you do. You take the children and you go. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be all right. Even if I die, it's going to be all right because you'll be free and you'll have our children. So she gives us the model of what it means to love you so much to say that your freedom is more important than my life because I'm sacrificing my life for your freedom. So take your freedom and go. I'm going to be okay. How many of us, talking about going to FASA, how many of us are willing to say that? How many of us have a love that says it's so strong I'm willing to let you go? Because that's one of the ways that we can be free. And so that's what the conversation is about today, asking us if we will simply reconsider what it means to be in a space that allows us to make important decisions, life-changing decisions. And that space is your house. That space is your job. That space is your parenthood. That space is your romantic relationships. That space is your friendships. We've got to be more careful who we hold close to us. We got to be more careful to recognize the threats in our midst. We got to be more careful to understand what love really means and tie it to freedom. We got to be careful to say, I know what I got to do to make it. I know what I got to do to lead. I know what I got to do to exist. And it is to make sure I stay away from you. I don't know how many of us are ready for that, but that's part of the conversation. Some folks right now you need to let go of. Some people right now are holding you back. Some people right now cannot even hear you, and they can't hear you because they can't see you. They can't see you because they don't know that they don't recognize your humanity. That's why we keep calling it the system of white inhumanity, and we stop calling it the system of white supremacy, because if you say, every time you say white supremacy, you are subliminally reinforcing the idea, the myth, the lie that white people are supreme, and they are not. Stop calling them that. I don't care what the history book said. That was their understanding at the time. It's a new day. It's a new age. We have a new understanding dealing with a new iteration of this same system. We got to call it what it is. It's white inhumanity. And you, as a Black person, have to understand that it is always around you, and you got to be careful, and you got to be willing to cut folks loose. That's what I want to make sure that I say. All right, Tony said he ain't got nothing else to say, and your girl Lola is already right here, ready to come in for 2 hours for Jazzy Tuesday. So you don't want to touch that dial. Thank you so much for joining in for Community Voices, where we are live every Tuesday. Where we are here every Tuesday from 9 to 10 o'clock a.m. CST. We cannot wait to see you soon. We'll be back on Thursday for the workplace. Yeah, it's Thursday the workplace. We got Thursday at the workplace right here at 9 o'clock. On your way out, let me bring your girl Lola in with Jill Scott, A Long Walk. They played this song at the beginning of the play on Saturday for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. So I'm bringing her in with A Long Walk. We'll catch y'all next time. Bye now. All right, then, how y'all doing?
Good morning.
All right, it is good morning.
I saw that play at the Mosaic Temple.
I don't hear
Colored
you.
girls
Y'all
who
hear it?
considered. No, I don't hear it. Is it? It says, "Can you hear